going on? It is the playoffs, and Mac and I are here to try to help you through this chaotic Sunday that we've already. News is coming out every second, so we have some big inactives. We had some three big games on Saturday, so you might need some high upside players if you played against Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, and company. I'm going to talk through everything, the good and the bad about what happened so far. Mac and I are here to answer every single question, so y'all coming through every single week. We appreciate you. Toss a like on the video. Mac, you're reeling. You've got some really good teams that are now really injured.
You guys thought you were coming here to get your own fantasy advice. You were just here to listen to me vent about the bullshit that is fantasy football. I put together just a god squad in a couple dynasty leagues, one in particular, and every single year it just falls apart in the first round of the playoffs, and I feel like this week will be no different than the last couple of years. I mean, this is a team with Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Jonathan Taylor, the list goes on, Stephon Diggs, Lamar Jackson, and I'm now without Jamar Chase, Jonathan Taylor, Isaiah Pacheco, Tyreek Hill, and I'm going up against Jordan Addison on a big one and Sam Laporta on a big one. So,
yeah.
I just, this person is also playing Logan Thomas and Devin Singletary. Can't wait for them to have career high days today.
Sure.
It's going to be phenomenal.
You get after week one of the playoffs, you really figure out which teams matter to you. Like all the dynasty leagues that you thought you cared about, you don't care about anymore. You want to you want to win the 6-team wives league all of a sudden, and you're like, all right, I'm all in.
Yeah, hey, I was looking really good to beat you, and Chris Olave out.
Well, I mean, I had Tyreek Hill on that team as well, and
true.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a Javonte Williams who should have had a touchdown yesterday, put up 4 points for you in most leagues, that's got to be hurtful. Zach Moss was looking like he was about to have a massive game, and then he went out after that touchdown. Now, at least he got you that touchdown. 10 points isn't going to. But if you're going up against an Addison Laporta team, you needed as much as you could get. So, man, we've got lots to talk about. Jalen Hurts as well, questionable on a Monday night game.
Yeah, that one hurts.
If you have a pivot option right now, would you go and pick up like a Matt Stafford and play him now rather than wait for Jalen Hurts to be maybe active against Seattle or maybe out? What's your situation on Jalen Hurts? Are you just going to grab Marcus Mariota just in case, or are you going to play someone today?
If I had Matthew Stafford, I'd play him in a heartbeat. I think Matthew Stafford is probably a top 6 quarterback on the week. Like,
yeah,
they're in such a good position against Washington. It couldn't be better, frankly. I'm rolling Stafford with full confidence.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. It's if you have Jalen Hurts, I mean, you probably have him in the playoffs. It's really tricky. If you don't have an excellent option like a Matt Stafford, if you're looking at a Will Levis type, a Joe Flacco type, I would probably just consider grabbing Marcus Mariota off waivers right now and holding out until tomorrow night and see how it goes. Because unless you're in a keeper dynasty league, it doesn't matter about these bench players that you're not going to start. Just backup quarterback and at least you're covered for tomorrow. But that's something maybe as our stream goes on, Mac, we'll learn more about Jalen Hurts and his availability tomorrow night. But lots to go through.
Yeah, let's go through the outs because those are the most important. We'll get to your questions shortly. Tyreek Hill out. They gave him the option. Basically, Mike McDaniel said, like, Tyreek has the option. He'll decide if he plays or not. I actually thought with that news that he was going to play, but I guess he's just, doing right by himself and maybe looking at the matchups in the next couple weeks because they're all very competitive. I believe it's Chiefs, Eagles, Bills. So, yeah, Tyreek is going to have to, average 150 yards a week over the next 3 because he's out this week. Jalen Hurts, like you said, downgraded. I'm probably still playing Jalen Hurts. I think he plays because it's just an illness. We're going to see Jordan flu game maybe, but if I had other options, like you said, Matt Stafford, I'd be playing him.
Yeah.
On the quarterback front, CJ Stroud is out as well. Chris Olave announced this morning that he is not going to play. This one was kind of out of the blue for me.
Ankle. So ankles can be tough.
Ankles can, yeah, that's true. Who else are we looking at here?
Devon Achane is active today. So
yeah, we'll get to those in a second.
Yeah.
Stevenson, Pacheco, Nico Collins, Brian Robinson, Alexander Madison, as you knew yesterday, out.
AJ Dillon,
fantastic. AJ Dillon is out.
Nico Collins is also out.
Christian Watson is out.
Yep.
Then we have let's go to some good news. I feel like we all need a little bit of good news at this time in our life. Expected to play. Aaron Jones was just upgraded, which is great. I mean, I picked up Patrick Taylor in a couple leagues. I'm glad I don't have to play him, even though Aaron Jones is probably going to let me down. Hopefully he lets me down very slowly.
Yes.
Brandon Cooks, Noah Brown, Dalton Kincaid, Taysom Hill, if you've been missing him. Rashid Shaheed should be in line for some work without Chris Olave today. Darren Waller making his return. I don't know if I'm going to play him, but he's making his return. Amari Cooper, Jerome Ford, and Dalton Schultz coming back from injury as well. All expected to play. That leaves us with some question marks.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin, still questionable.
He is active today.
Okay. I had not seen that yet. Marquise Brown.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean, it probably doesn't matter about Chris Godwin too, to be honest with you. But I haven't seen any news about Hollywood Brown, whether or not he's active.
I think the big questionable tags coming into this morning, the last I had checked, was Achane, Olave, AJ Dillon, Tyreek Hill, and Aaron Jones. And we got the news that we needed to get Achane in, Dillon out, Olave out, Godwin in, Hill out, Jones in. It's going to be a crazy day of football. I just got to say.
It's going to be. I have a question. So it's the Jalen Hurts news. It's an illness. So you're right. It's not an ankle.
It got worse overnight, though.
That's what I see here. So the Eagles, they're trying to get that bye, right? They're trying to get over stay ahead of the Cowboys, and their schedule is pretty good rest of season. There shouldn't be should be no question. But because man, what do you think he's gonna do? Like, do you think they could beat Seattle with Marcus Mariota? They're just gonna say, you know what, we'll be all right, or do you think because they're trying to get that first round bye, he's just gonna tough it out? Like, what you think he's gonna play?
I think he plays. I do think they can beat them without. Funny stat, though, Seattle has won the last 6 matchups against Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Are the stars aligning to make it 7? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, like, Seattle will make this game competitive, even more so without Jalen Hurts. I hope with Marcus Mariota potentially playing, it's a boost to DeAndre Swift because he desperately needs it.
Yes, it should be for sure. It does,
but I still think he plays. I would be holding backup options much higher in my considerations than I was before. You know, like Matthew Stafford is the perfect one, but he would absolutely be a play. Would you play Jordan Love today against the Buccaneers or wait out Jalen Hurts?
I would wait it out, but also grab Mariota.
I would play Jordan Love.
Yeah. Against Tampa Bay. It's a great matchup. And
what about Sam Howell, who's been a top 10 quarterback this year? Top 5 for the majority of the season.
I'm going to wait that out as well. I prefer Love over Howell. So that's even with, I see a question here about why too Aaron Donald's questionable. That does downgrade the Rams defense, but it's still a great matchup against the Washington Commanders. But I would,
we're not debating.
Yeah, I would wait that out.
What about Joe Flacco against Chicago?
Yeah, I'm waiting that out too. I'm gonna just.
So you're still pretty high on Jalen Hurts.
I think so. And then just if it doesn't work out, Mariota will be very serviceable. Like I think because how good that team is, and the players around him, that I think he would be fine if Jalen Hurts is out. He'll be comparable, I think, to a Sam Howell type.
If you're waiting out the upside of Hurts for the potential of playing Mariota, I believe Matthew Stafford, Jordan Love are better plays.
Right. Yep.
And I think that's the only guys that are potentially available on waivers. I don't know what Stafford's ownership percentage is off the top of my head. It's got to be declining, increasing his roster percentage over the last couple weeks. He's been fantastic. But Jordan Love is probably still available.
Yeah, he if you're in just a regular 10-team, one quarterback league, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to let everyone know to toss a like on the video. We get to every single question, so you don't need to ask your questions multiple times. We do very much appreciate the support. Share around with your friends. It's the playoffs. Mac and I are here to try to go through as much detail as we have time for and give you the best advice we can. So appreciate the support every single week.
The other thing I wanted to mention before we get to questions, the Geno Smith, Drew Lock situation is also not great on the Seattle side, so
yeah, it might be
if this
a
is
game.
a Marcus Mariota versus Drew Lock, it could be very, very ugly.
So if Geno's out and it is Drew Lock, does that lead, a Jalen Hurts to be like, you know what, guys, we're okay too?
Could be a factor.
And so before we get to questions, I do want to, so with the question mark at quarterback, what is that? What are your thoughts now on the receiving options, the fantasy options for the Eagles? Is there anyone you were playing before and now are questionable? Like it's hard to sit down AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, right? So you're just going to play them regardless, even though the question mark is at quarterback. DeAndre Swift, he hasn't been as good as we hoped he would be lately. I still think he's a solid play. I think he's got to be a top 20 running back for me this week. I can check my rankings, but is it a upgrade or a downgrade having a backup?
Yeah, I think when it's like the fantasy playoffs and it's the first week and you're life or death for a matchup, like unless it's clearly blatantly obvious a better play, there's no way you can sit down Devontae Smith or AJ Brown or DK Metcalf,
Right.
Lockett, Smith and Jigba, Ken Walker, Dallas Goedert, all of those guys are up for debate.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to, my opinion, Swift, Brown, Smith, Metcalf, those guys are locked and loaded.
Yeah. I think, Dallas Goedert is in question. If you picked him up after he came back last week, hoping that he would be a guy that you can rely on as a elite level tight end, that obviously decreases now with a question at quarterback.
All right, let's get to easy here. First question, full PPR, got Olave on the bench now. A.T. Perry in relief or Isaiah Hodgins for the Giants? Why do you come through, Eric, with the worst questions every single time?
Unfortunately, you never know. This crazier things can happen in the playoffs, but I don't want to start either. I guess A.T. Perry would be my question.
Yeah, I think comes down to, it's like, who do you believe is in a better game script today, the Saints or the Giants? They play each other. I think the Saints win this one.
Yeah, I think Derek Carr is going to play.
Yeah, I don't know. Either of these guys, if they get into the end zone, you're a winner. Hodgins did against the Packers, but that's really been the bright spot in his season. I'd probably just go A.T. Perry with Olave being out. He's just got more opportunity. I think that's what it will come down to for me, but it's like, it's not definitive by any means.
Yeah.
Evan coming through. 2 questions. Number 1, choose between Thielen or Shaheed or Curtis Samuel. It's in a half PPR league. Second, Zeke or James Conner. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. For the first question, I would go Thielen against the Falcons would be my play.
Mm-hmm.
You probably go Curtis Samuel, knowing you.
But it's choose two, so I'm going Samuel and Thielen.
Gotcha. I would also agree. Zeke or Connor. So here's the thing, like Ramondre Stevenson is out. I would typically be on the side of James Conner just because of the volume that he gets. However, Zeke probably profiles this week to have 20 touches. Like
I
he's been
know.
involved in the passing game. I
Yeah.
bet a Zeke over 3.5 receiving prop earlier this morning. Feel really good about that. It's like
Yeah.
if the guy's going to touch the ball 20 times, I would just take that. And
Yeah.
the matchup for the
New England.
Patriots is I think better than the matchup for James Conner.
Yeah.
The Niners are the best second best run D to the Browns. Like
Yeah.
I probably just go Zeke.
I tend to agree with that. I mean, you're projecting the Cardinals to be down in this game. Now,
I mean, we're projecting that for the Patriots too, but it's like,
yeah,
how much can they really do with the football through the air? Like Zappy has been awful, whereas like Kyler is Kyler. You know, he can make things happen.
yeah. There's a couple games where James Conner's getting targets, and that's what you do want to see. But so is Zeke, right? So,
That's yeah.
yeah,
I go Zeke.
yeah.
All right. Looking for the next question. OBJ or Thielen? I had this choice myself, actually, and I ended up going with Thielen.
Yeah, OBJ's been good.
Yeah,
You
he has
know,
been.
but his snap percentage is still pretty low. He's only still playing about 50% of snaps. So
Yep.
you're relying on efficiency and deep passes
Big
and a
play.
touchdown. So
Yep.
that if that big play happens, you're going to be happy. And OBJ, like the eye test is great. He looks really good. And you have a better team with the Ravens. So it's volume on a bad team versus efficiency on a good team. And it's a tough scenario every week, but I agree. I think Thielen you might as well go with the volume and the targets. But it's close. Man, trying to bet on a bad team is always hard.
Really hard. I'm just hoping for volume. You know, that's what it comes down to for me.
Yeah. And Thielen's
know,
look good too. And surprisingly how old he is.
I know.
And usually he's a guy that,
Both of them though.
They both are. You're right. And they've both lasted pretty good, pretty long. Like I wouldn't have been surprised if they flash early in the season and then fall off a cliff, but they've both been good throughout the entire season for the most part.
Beckham's gotten better. Thielen's sort of declined.
Yeah, but I think that's more on Bryce Young, not
for
necessarily
sure
on Thielen.
Roll with Dak or wait for Jaylen. Dak is a top 5 option.
Dak,
For me
baby.
this
Yeah.
week, I'm playing Dak for sure.
You can't find a much hotter team right now than the Cowboys.
Yeah. We've got a full PPR round 1, pick 2 for the flex situation. Rashee Rice, Garrett Wilson, Ezekiel Elliott, and Devon Achane.
I'm for sure. It's so my sits of this list is probably going to be Achane and Rice. I just don't have the confidence right now in Achane, even though it should be better if he's healthy with Tyreek out. It should be more work for Achane. His injury has me concerned.
This is also the type of game where the Jets will just make it annoyingly close.
Yeah.
And be there. You know, I don't want to start Achane. I actually didn't think he was even playing today, so I had sort of discounted him from any potential considerations. Elliott's in a smash spot, I think, just for volume, like we've talked about. And at the end of the day, like Rashee Rice is still, in my opinion, a little bit of a touchdown dependent play. Like Garrett Wilson and Rashee Rice are going to get very similar volume, if not a lean to Wilson. I would go Wilson and Elliott, and just like you said, sit down Rice and Achane.
Yeah.
Full PPR makes it a little bit more of a nod to Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. I mean, I was very impressed with what Zach Wilson did last week, and I think having that perspective of just saying, hey, just winging it and saying, what's the worst that can happen? They're going to bench me. That's a great attitude. And he should just let it fly and target Garrett Wilson over and over and over again.
Yeah. All right. Let's just get one thing out of the way here. If you had to choose a Kansas City running back today, is it Jerick McKinnon or is it Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
McKinnon for me.
McKinnon for you?
Yeah.
Is it just like the potential pass catching that you're interested in?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I think the answer to this question becomes a little harder for me. McKinnon or Shaheed?
Yeah. Shaheed was really good in spurts when he was healthy. The only concern is coming back from injury and that level of risk. I think it should be Shaheed, but I think my floor play, if all you need is a decent 10 to 12 point performance, I think McKinnon is going to do that in a full PPR league for you. Where Shaheed, he's got a higher ceiling play. He could put up 20 points and be that dart throw that upsets the number one team kind of play. Like he can do that, especially with Olave out. But he could also give you a dud performance and not be available at all.
Best defensive streamers this week. Oakland. I mean, Las Vegas.
Yeah. Can you go back in time and just pick those guys up and play them? That sounds great.
Yeah. Obviously, the New Orleans Saints against the Giants are probably the top of most people's lists.
Yes. They were close to mine.
They probably got claimed during waivers, though.
The only video I did this week was a defensive rankings video. That's all I did this week. I think the Falcons are a decent play as well at Carolina. If you who hasn't played? I mean, the Rams, even with Aaron Donald, is a decent play. I mean, kicks my game. What you want is sacks and interceptions. So a team like the Washington Commanders, they might put up some points, but they're going to throw a ton, which can lead to what I just said. So I think the Rams are a good play. And the Packers, I think, against Tampa Bay aren't a bad one either. Even though, Tampa's been good, I think the Packers can get to the quarterback as well.
Hodgins or Washington?
Oh gosh.
Why?
You're really
easy. Why?
How am I supposed to answer this question? Like, truly, you're hoping for a 1 reception touchdown for Washington, or, again, another outlier performance by Hodgins?
I mean, I'll go Hodgins.
Sure. With no confidence.
Do we feel, obviously we'd like to have Donald playing. I still think that the Rams are in a good matchup. I'll still stick with the Rams.
Yeah. Now, sure.
This is a tough one. Swift or Zeke?
Yeah, I mean, you've been a Swift fan for a long time, and following, chasing that big performance that Zeke had and the volume that he gets is, he's going to get all the work, full workload for Zeke. And you just, you see Kenny Gainwell in there way too often. And then there's the question mark at quarterback. And if that team just doesn't move the ball as well, less opportunities for touchdowns, maybe, I mean, it's possible that Marcus is good and maybe he's better for Swift.
I'm gonna go with Swift. My gut here says Swift. All of the data and recency bias says Zeke by a mile. I just think DeAndre Swift comes through this week.
Yeah, I hope
it's a gut. There's literally nothing other than that. I'm not even gonna try to make a case for it. It's just what I believe to be true.
Finn, if your gut says Zeke, go with that.
Go Zeke. Yeah.
If you want to trust Mac's gut and his love for DeAndre, and he's a very good player at this point in their careers, Swift is a much better player than Zeke. If he gets the workload that we want for him, he's a better play. He's on a better team. But, man, that first drive for New England last week, when it was all Zeke and he's catching the football in the backfield and looking like himself. I mean, man, tough one.
Murray or Fields?
I think I'm going Fields this week over
Same.
Kyler.
Yep.
Yep.
Cooper Kupp or Mike Evans in a full PPR.
Ooh. I'm going Cooper Kupp, I think. Mike Evans has been so good. Last week was a bad performance, but I don't expect that to happen again, especially since I'm playing him.
I kind of wouldn't be surprised if it did happen again. I'm not going to lie to you.
You think? I mean, I would love to see Green Bay shut him down.
Well,
Would love that.
Chris Godwin is questionable.
Yes.
Although
sounds like he's active.
He's active. You know, how involved he is, we don't know. The Green Bay Packers are currently giving up the 7th fewest fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Dud game, vulnerable against the run, good secondary. This could be another down game for Mike Evans, whereas I think even just full PPR in itself, the format lends itself to Cooper Kupp, who's in a great spot today. You know, the Rams are in a phenomenal matchup
against the Commanders. I think you have to start Cooper Kupp, and Stafford looks great. He's one of our top ranked quarterbacks of the week. Puka Nacua looks great, so it's not like they can focus on Kupp, even if they had someone that could cover Cooper Kupp on the Commanders. Sounds like Mike Evans should be still a top 10, 12 consideration just based on what he's done this season. But Cooper Kupp is a top 5 guy, I think, and in a full PPR, he's going to get way more targets. Mike Evans, you have to be you're hoping for a longer place. He's always been that with it in his career.
Full PPR, would we start Aaron Jones or Breece Hall over any of the following? Stephon Diggs, Mike Evans, Puka Nacua. For context, projected win by 10, and the league has a 2-week playoff format.
Man, if I played in leagues with a 2-week playoff and I won week 1 by a small margin and I got roasted week 2, I would be
so upset,
distraught.
Correct.
Oh boy.
Okay, so reading this question, Aaron Jones is extremely risky.
Yeah.
I'm only playing him in one matchup where my only option was Tyreek Hill, and then he's out. So it's like with everybody else injured, I gotta promote someone, and it's Aaron Jones. Breece Hall is another consideration. It's like I expect if the Jets are going to make this game close, they're going to lean on the run. It just is a matter of, does Breece find his way to paint? Is Mike Evans actually as bad as I think he might be this week against a good Packers secondary? It's like it could be very close. Yeah. I probably still lean Mike Evans, but that's the only sitting duck in this list. I'm not sitting down Diggs, and I'm not sitting down Puka Nacua with a smash matchup. So
despite how bad Stephon Diggs has been, I think you still have to. Yeah, I mean, he was good against Philly. I'm looking back now.
But he's getting the targets, right?
Mm-hmm. He still is. It's a double-digit targets the past 2 games.
Right. He hasn't done as much with them as you would have hoped, but I just want there to be volume, and there's absolutely been volume. So
I'm probably going to start all your wide receivers, Brandon, and just stick with those guys.
Yeah, I think the only person I would pivot to over Mike Evans is Breece Hall, but even then, it's not a very strong recommendation.
You've got 3 top 12 wide receivers.
Mm-hmm. Waddle for all the points against the Jets, or do we go with options like Jaden Reed or Zay Flowers?
Yeah, I mean, I put Jaylen Waddle in my thumbnail because I thought he was an interesting topic. With Tyreek out, do you expect Waddle to be that elite guy? Or do you think just the offense as a whole gets a little bit hurt and Waddle doesn't do as good as we hope?
This is a tough one for me because I've slid Tua down my quarterback rankings this week.
As you should, I think. Yeah.
Because of the matchup, now even more so because of no Tyreek Hill. I still think at the end of the day that the Dolphins find a way to get it done. It just might not be in the way that you think. And obviously, we can think, no Tyreek, Waddle gets a boost. That is conventional wisdom. Is now Waddle easier to game plan for defenses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for the Waddle breakout.
It's been a very poor year for him.
Yeah.
It's been the Tyreek Hill show.
I've got in half PPR league, I've got DK Metcalf against Philly, who's the best matchup, and I've got Jaylen Waddle, who is the worst matchup, but is by himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. I have DK in right now, but it's Jaylen Waddle could be. He's a lone guy, and we know that at least he has Tua rather than not Drew Lock.
Yeah. Look,
but let's get to Cheesehead's question. Sorry, I'm just being selfish with my own question.
I was trying to redirect you, but you got there on your own. I think Jaden Reed's an interesting play. He's not a better play than Zay Flowers, in my opinion. So I look here and I go, Waddle or Zay Flowers. And it's like Waddle without Tyreek. Yeah, there's a boost, but I think he's easier to game plan for. Tua hasn't been great the last couple weeks. I'm probably fading Tua, fading Waddle. When you look at Zay Flowers, been good. Play the Jags, who are struggling right now, giving up the 9th most to opposing fantasy wide receivers. I'm going to play Zay Flowers over Jaylen Waddle this week.
Yeah, so we have not had weather questions like we did last week, and the Baltimore game was way blown out of proportion. The game with weather is the Chicago at Cleveland, 17 miles an hour and rain. So
Buffalo's supposed to get a lot of rain too, I believe.
Let me see. So 15 miles an hour and likely rain in Buffalo as well. So we got Baltimore at Jacksonville, 21 miles an hour and slight chance of rain as well. So when it gets over that 20 miles an hour, that's kind of that's when the wind actually comes into account. So maybe the Buffalo game is not as. Maybe it's going to be more of a run-heavy game. I don't know. But that's a late game, I think. So,
again, weather, like we found, probably overanalyzed over the longer term. We just happened to blow it out of proportion.
Yeah.
Here's a fun one. Tucker Kraft or Darren Waller, or Michael Wilson or Jonathan Mingo / Thielen. Okay, so I'm going to go with Thielen.
Yep.
In that second list. And then Tucker Kraft, without Luke Musgrave there, he's kind of been involved, but so has Ben Sims. I don't even know where to start with Waller. I don't know that I could roll him out in a playoff matchup, but he is head and shoulders better than Tucker Kraft.
Correct.
With that being said, I'd probably just roll Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know that I can just throw Waller into the lineup and expect him to be good. I just don't know a world where I can rely on him.
I tend to agree. I'm not sure either. Tucker Kraft has looked good in small. If you're like a huge underdog and you need Waller back, I'm fine with it. I just don't know if he does have that ceiling play. He hasn't been good at all this year. So pass on Waller.
I think the name is tempting. I just don't know how you can do that.
Yeah.
On him.
Yeah.
Tough one here too. ETN against the Ravens or Aaron Jones against the Bucks.
ETN for sure for me.
I tend to agree as well. I know ETN's a little bit banged up, has a tough matchup, but I still think he'll be more reliable than Aaron Jones. I'm not thrilled about playing Aaron Jones this week. I am in a couple spots, but I'm not thrilled about it.
Yeah, no.
Titans or Cowboys defense?
I
think the Titans are a very strong consideration this week.
Yeah, but I think I still lean Cowboys.
Probably.
It's good. Yeah, tough. I mean, we've seen Josh Allen throw in interceptions this year, so
yeah, we have.
Cooper actually has a question here, Mac. Shaheed or Curtis Samuel?
Oh, I will go with Curtis Samuel.
Yep, I think so too. And assuming we'll just say half PPR Cooper. I'm not sure what the scoring format is, but Samuel's been getting lots of targets.
Didn't start Chandler, hoping Chuba gets a lot of carries because of the rain, and Javonte screwed me. So now he's in a bit of a hole. Javonte should have got that touchdown awarded to him. I know I heard on the broadcast Gene Steratore come in and say he thinks he was short. I don't see how he was short. The fact that you are down 28-7 and on both of those plays don't even consider the challenge flag is just beyond me. Then you are down 28-7 and you decide to kick a field goal from the 7-yard line. I mean, I know Sean Payton's over there yelling in Russell Wilson's face, but that was back-to-back poor decisions. And the funniest thing is that Javonte likely had the touchdown where it was worthy of a look. They don't challenge the play, and then the next play they have an offsides.
Yeah.
It's Denver football in a nutshell right there.
Yeah.
So I feel your pain. Why too? I have Javonte in a couple spots, and I was looking for those 6 points, but we didn't get it.
I also I have a lot of leagues where I just sat down Ty Chandler and my bench goes off. It's brutal.
That's why I love best ball leagues.
Oh, I know. We need to do more of those next year than we did.
That best ball league, I was in such a good spot. Like started with Ty Chandler and what's his name? What's the tight end's name? Tanner Hudson. It's like you're just getting like production out of nowhere, and then it's like Keenan Allen out, Tyreek Hill out. It's like,
true. God.
And need Christian McCaffrey for $1 billion today.
That league, you get to call out your first round opponent. I just love that wrinkle. That's like in leagues, best ball especially, where you kind of just check out. Most of the league just checks out because you draft and see what happens later. I like this league because you're involved. You open waivers 4 times a year, whatever it is, and keeps people invested. It's fun.
Half PPR projected to win for our girl Claire. Lost Olave and sat Ty Chandler. So at the flex position, we're now considering Chris Godwin, Jerome Ford, Drake London, or Cole Kmet.
It's Drake London for me. He's been very good.
It's between Ford or London for me. Jerome Ford has also been very good. Drake London, as of late, has been the better option, but Carolina's secondary is decent, man.
Yeah.
Pretty decent. I think if you're projected to win and don't need the big game, I go with Jerome Ford. I think he just has more steady production, higher floor. That's where I go personally.
Yeah. Who do the Browns play again?
Why'd you throw that at me?
Chicago. Oh yeah, great matchup. Yeah, you're right. Even though the Bears have been slightly better on defense, but yeah, toss up for me. I still think Drake London's the play, but I don't blame you, Claire, if you go Jerome Ford for the floor play.
It's between the two, so we narrowed it to a 50-50 for you.
Yep.
First playoff game, had Addison on the bench. No idea who to flex. JSN, Trey McBride, Keaton Mitchell, Jaren McKinnon, full PPR league. You're going to play Trey McBride. You're going to ride with McBride because he's the wide receiver 1 for the Cardinals.
Paz, just go back and start Addison. That's that simple.
Yeah. Get Commissioner Powers just momentarily. Switch your players out. I also sat Addison for Olave in a matchup against Landon, and here we are. 29 points on my bench. No Chris Olave today. Don't you just love fantasy football?
Is this Cuba Crew? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Well,
even though the matchup means nothing, I still want to beat you.
Oh, heck yeah. But you have Gibbs and Laporta, guy.
I know. It was really nice last night.
Yeah, that is
really,
nice.
Really nice.
I
think with Trey McBride, like targets over the last 4 games, or let's go 6, 9, 9, 7, 9, 5, 14. Trey McBride's just getting fed. You'd love to see him get into the end zone today, but I think the volume on him alone is just better than all these other options that you have, especially like JSN hasn't been great. He's been better as of late, but if we have no Geno Smith and reliant on Drew Lock, I don't want any piece of that. Keaton Mitchell, trending upwards. I would play him over McKinnon, but I wouldn't play him over McBride. So full PPR league, I'm going to go with McBride. And usually the tight end is not the default answer, but in this case, I think for me it is.
There you go. Won't fight you on it.
I'll let you answer this one because I have bias, but Romeo Doubs or Antonio Gibson with no Brian Robinson.
I know, that's why I'm leaning Antonio Gibson in this matchup.
I think I am too.
Yeah, it's a solid play.
Would we play Zay Jones over Amari Cooper?
Or Zay Flowers.
Or Zay Flowers? Ooh, let's just do both for fun.
um,
If
I
it's Zay Jones, I go Amari Cooper. If it's Zay Flowers, I go Zay Flowers.
correct. I think that's the correct order. Flowers, Amari, Zay Jones.
Thielen or Lockett at the flex. How far do you downgrade Lockett, Metcalf, JSN because of the potential of no Geno?
A
You know,
question
that's
mark of
what it
yeah.
comes down to for me.
I think I still go Tyler Lockett.
I will take Adam Thielen.
Okay.
Yep, Stroud and Nico are out. Big losses. Hopefully that means good things for Noah Brown. If you're in that camp, streaming nicely. But it probably doesn't mean good things for anybody other than Devin Singletary. I don't know.
Holy cow. A trade just goes through in our league and Dynasty Addicts. Kuma
Oh
is just
my.
getting Breece Hall. Didn't even get a first round pick for Breece.
I am
Easy. What are you doing here with Coombs? Gosh.
who sorry, I can't see because my phone is doing the
Yeah.
video.
So Pierce, Sam Howell, a second round pick for Breece Hall.
Now, granted, this is a super flex league, so the piece of Sam Howell is that was
More
easy.
valuable. Yep.
Nice. Okay. I like it. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Injured big time. I feel that. Sit one in a full PPR. Wandell, Tucker Kraft, Michael Wilson, Rico Dowdle. We're sitting one, not starting one. Oh man.
Sit one. I will sit.
I will sit Michael Wilson.
He was a good rookie to start the year. He's just been hurt. He's back from injury. I mean, I'm not sure if Dowdle
is expected to play today.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's Michael
He's been
Wilson.
flexed in at the goal line.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, it might be sitting Kraft and just try to roll with the wide receiver. I think Michael Wilson's super talented, but yeah, it's hard to say. Tough one.
Which running back would you start between Tony Pollard, Devon Achane, or Ezekiel Elliott?
I'd probably just roll with Tony Pollard.
I would order them Pollard, Elliott, Achane this week.
Yeah.
Nice. Got all the Coombs picks. Thanks, Beck. Yeah, he's giving him out like Halloween candy.
Yeah, but he's really going for it. And
hey, gotta respect it.
I sat Ty Chandler and T. Higgins in that league.
Oh no.
And started Javonte. So he has a nice lead. And Zach Moss I started. So he has a nice lead on me. My team is very good. I just I'm in a tough spot now with this trade now. Thanks, Easy. He's playing me. Appreciate you, guy.
I like the trade. I
hate it. Because I'm facing Breece Hall. Guy, I would have given you a second round pick for Breece.
But not Sam Howell.
I could have given you who? Kenny Pickett? Same guy, different team.
Coombs has Fields, though. Yeah, he's right. Strongly projected to win. Second week matchup. Half PPR. Pick a flex between Lockett, Romeo Doubs, Zay Jones, Chris Godwin. It's between Lockett and Doubs for me here.
Oof. Yeah, Zay Jones got like 11 targets last week. What do you think? It's a tough matchup against Baltimore, obviously, but
that's
why
that's where I'm kind of out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Godwin is not a consideration for me.
No, he's been bad.
Like the ceiling just feels super low on him.
I'd go Lockett.
Claire's projected to win. I think you're probably okay between Lockett and Dobbs. Zay Jones, if he gets the volume that he has gotten, he'll be okay. I think I'd go Lockett.
Yeah, Dobbs. I mean, Dobbs really hasn't been that good, but the Kansas City game was his best game because he had 72 yards, but he hasn't been
He's been
overly
very consistent though in terms of opportunity, right? Like he's
7,
running
5, 4, 6, or he's
yeah,
running lots
running
of
like
routes.
80%, 80+% of snaps.
Yep, past 3
In the
weeks, yeah.
5 to 6 target range every single game.
Yeah.
You'd like to see him do a little bit more with his touches, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, Tyler Lockett just has I think a bigger ceiling, but we need safety, so it just comes down to it's a really tough list to choose from. There's probably a multitude of right answers. I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
for me,
Lockett
Godwin's just out.
yeah, Lockett has not been exceptional either, to say that. Like, he's not a locked and loaded guy, but I think he always surprises you with big games, and at least we've seen that from Lockett.
Easy's comment here brings up a nice little debate to have while we're waiting for more questions. Do you like dynasty leagues to not have a trade deadline? I know that we play in a couple dynasty leagues together. Some of them have trade deadlines, some of them do not. What do you like? What do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I've mixed emotions because I have, two scenarios that are helping me and hurting me. So
Right.
there's League of Record where I lost Herbert. It's a 1 quarterback league, and I wish I could go to the guys that missed the playoffs and say, "Hey guys, like, what do you want? Give me a top end quarterback," and then I'm in a much better spot. But and then we have this Addicts League that no trade deadline. My team is in a interesting spot where it's good on paper. It's just not really performing. I snuck into the playoffs last week with a big performance, but yeah, it's an interesting. I think in general, I would like to look at no trade deadline for League of Record moving forward, and just let people trade all year round. It helps with league activity and more. Even the guys that miss the playoffs, rather than just checking out, they can still make moves and make the most of it. It's just there needs to be a deadline somewhere, right? Like,
I disagree.
you think right up till championship week,
Yeah.
someone can. If they get hurt, they can just try to do the most they can.
I will tell you why after we get to
Sure.
April's question. Had CJ Stroud now has the choice between Justin Fields or picking up Jordan Love or Matt Stafford, I would be playing Matt Stafford and Jordan Love over Justin Fields this week with the Cleveland matchup and the potential gross weather, but Matthew Stafford would be my number one consideration. Do you agree?
Pick up Stafford for sure.
Love that.
Yep, I like it.
Here's my thought, and like I've gone back and forth on this too, trying to take my own situations out of it. But at the end of the day, if I am a contending team and something happens, like I lose Jamar Chase for the rest of the season, we don't know how
Yep.
bad the separated shoulder is, what grade the AC joint sprain is. But if Jamar Chase is out for the remainder of the season, he's now, for me as a contender, rendered useless. As a dynasty asset, he is invaluable.
Very valuable, yeah.
So I could basically trade him for a ton and get pieces to use to continue on my journey of trying to win. It gives me options as a contender, but it also lets rebuilding teams leverage situations that they wouldn't normally be able to have, like to leverage. So I think it gives power to both sides, but it really comes into question. How much do you want to bargain your future for the present chance at a championship? Because that's really what you're after in dynasty fantasy football. Yeah, we want to build a team that's good for longevity, but when the moment is now and we need to win now, sometimes we have to make tough decisions. If we have a trade deadline in week 11 in a league that has year-round implications, it kind of feels silly to have a deadline in place.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, in in keeper leagues, it in theory could be the same, right? But
Mhm.
we still always have trade deadlines in any keeper league we've ever been a part of. So like if you have multiple keepers, yeah, they
I
have value post if like even if they get injured. So
Yeah, keeper leagues, I'm okay with the deadline simply for the fact that you just have to have people make their bed. And like you're only keeping 3 players on a roster of 15. It's not
sure.
like you're keeping 20 or 25 guys, you know? So,
Yeah, no, I get it. No, I understand for sure. But
because after the season's over, it's really hard to get draft picks out of people's hands. But if it's like, you know, hey, I know you're out of the playoffs. I'll give you a first for Tyreek Hill. Like, am I getting a first for Tyreek Hill after the season? Maybe, maybe
yeah,
not.
maybe. Depends, yeah.
Am I
Yeah.
am I able to now say, well, you just lost Jamar Chase. I could give you Tyreek Hill, but I want your first, your second, and um, who was I going to use as a Tank Dell?
Okay, right. Yeah, yeah.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like
Yep.
you could do so much more as a rebuilding team or a team that's now out of the playoffs if you still have the chance to trade your players. So
Yep.
that's kind of all I'm just looking at, activity and giving the most power to players on either side.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you're
It's
eliminated, you no longer have any ability to move players or make any
yeah.
advancements for your team.
Yeah. It's interesting and yeah, I get it. It's just that so a team, yeah. There's a part of me that also says, you know what, you make your bed and you know, you have to you will regardless of what team you have, you in dynasty, here's the team you're going to the playoffs with. Here's your team. Regardless of what happens, this is your team and hopefully it works out well. Fantasy football is a lot with luck and injury luck. Like if you stay
Hmm.
healthy, you're great. If you're active on waivers, you're great. But if you're not, you know, you're out of luck and that's fantasy football. So it feels like if you sneak through and then you just trade the world for uh a rock star team, if you're willing to talk, it's changing the whole dynamic of what just happened all year round. But I
Yeah, but
see
if it doesn't work, now you put yourself into a bigger hole with a team that didn't win a championship and is now worse for the future.
maybe, yeah, maybe. But if you get a bunch of good players, I mean, you're still gonna have good players.
Yeah, but good players like if you get Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs, who are both, 30,
Yeah,
and
but
you
they're still
give up
good.
a first and Jackson Smith and Jigba, it's like that, and that first turns into something solid. Like you know what I mean? It's you could be doing yourself a disservice.
Could, yeah, could for sure.
But
But
that's the whole point of like dynasty fantasy football is like get people to push themselves in either direction, whether you're contending or you're rebuilding, like go that way
yeah,
aggressively. Don't let people just sit in the middle.
sure.
And I
Um,
feel like that's what happens if you don't.
Ben is talking about Howell and Mahomes, and I'm still gonna go Mahomes
Yeah.
here, Ben. Despite how bad Mahomes has been throughout the year, you still have to, for me, take that upside. And Claire, one last question. 5 minutes in, we got Kincaid or Komet. Do you have confidence in Kincaid still?
I
Because
do.
Komet,
Kincaid.
yeah, I'm gonna stick with Kincaid. He was hurt this week, but he is active and gonna play. I still like him, and Komet's been good as well, but tough matchup against Cleveland.
Kincaid or likely.
I think I will still stick with Kincaid, but it's
Same.
yeah,
Same.
yeah.
Nice.
All right, guys. Good luck, everyone, this week. Thank you for coming through.
As always.
First round of the playoffs. You know, hopefully we'll see all y'all next week. And even if you don't win, come by and hang out with the boys, and we'll shoot the shit.
Be good. Yeah, good luck. Hopefully everything works out in your favor. That's go pack, go.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.